day, everyone. We are here again, to increase our knowledge and to apply the important lessons we can learn. Today, we will talk about the role of culture in human adaptation. And what is the objectives for today's lesson? Here are the following objectives. 1. Discuss the role of culture in human adaptation. 2. Analyze the main factors and causes of cultural change, and 3. Explain the ways of human adaptation to the sudden change of culture caused by unforeseen events. In this part, we will measure how much you know about our lesson. So, prepare your paper and bump in for our short pre-test. I will repeat each question twice and will give 5 minutes to think your answer. Are you ready? Let me read the direction. Choose your answer inside the box. Write the letter of the correct answer on your answer sheet. Number 1. The process by which a species gets to be fitted to its environment. It is the result of natural selections, acting upon heritable variety over a few eras. Number 2. Concept that denotes some internal and external factors leading to change in the cultural pattern of societies. Number 3. The idea states that human cultural change in the beliefs, knowledge, customs, skills, attitudes, and languages of humans over time. Number 4. It is a process by which individual organism adjusts to a change in its environment, permitting it to maintain the performance that changes the condition of the environment. Five. It is environmentally specific, in which a particular gene may be damaging to have in another environment. Now get ready to check our pre-test. These are the correct answers. 1. D. 2. C. 3. A. 4. E. 5. B. Who got the perfect score? Very good. A big clap to those who got 5. Before we move on to our lesson, let's go back to the previous lesson. Here are the questions. Number 1. What are the stages of human evolution? And number 2 question. How did hominids evolve into modern humans? In number 1 question, what are the stages of human evolution? Human today developed through many stages of evolution from primates that are now extinct. This evolutionary process from the primates who walk on all 4 limbs to the humans today who walk on 2 hind limbs, has been a very long one. What about question number 2? How did hominids evolve into modern humans? Human evolution is the lengthy process of change, by which people originated from ape-like ancestors. Scientific evidence shows that the physical and behavioral traits shared by all people originated from ape-like ancestors and evolved over a period of approximately 6 million years. Let us now proceed to our new lesson. The topic for today is the role of culture in human adaptation. I knew all of you hate this picture. What about this logo? What do the 2 pictures have in common? What do these pictures have to do with our new lesson? Here is another picture. If we look at the picture, do you think this picture is one of the factors in the constantly changing nature of our culture? By the way, what is cultural evolution? Cultural evolution is the idea that human cultural change in the beliefs, knowledge, customs, skills, attitudes, and languages of humans over time. It proposes that as humans transform themselves, their culture becomes progressively complex due to social, environmental, and biological factors. Cultural evolution is also called sociocultural evolution, the development of one or more culture, from simpler to more complex forms. It was believed that social change resulted from biological adaptation, but anthropologists now commonly accept that social changes arise in consequence of a combination of social, evolutionary, and biological influences. What about biological adaptation? Biological adaptation, in science, is the process by which a species gets to be fitted to its environment. It is the result of natural selections, acting upon heritable variety over a few eras. Organisms are adjusted to their environments in a great variety of ways, in their structure, physiology, and genetics, in their movement or dispersal, in their means of defense and attack, in their generation and improvement, and in other regards. There are different types of biological adaptation. One of this is acclimatization, acclimation, or acclimatation. Acclimatization. It is a process by which individual organism adjusts to a change in its environment, permitting it to maintain the performance that changes the condition of the environment. It is change occurs in a short period of time or within the organism's lifetime. Since it happens in a short period of time, short-term acclimatization can happen within seconds of exposure and quickly reverses when the stressor is no longer present. Examples: imagine stepping out of an air-conditioned building or car into a 90-degree day. Your body will quickly begin to perspire in an attempt to cool your body temperature and return to homeostasis. When the temperature declines, so will your perspiration. Tanning is another short-term response, in this case to increased radiation exposure, especially during summer months, which can occur within hours. Tans are generally lost during the winter, when radiation decreases. Another types of biological adaptation is developmental acclimatization. Developmental acclimatization occurs during an individual's growth and development. It's also called ontological acclimatization or developmental adjustment. Note that these cannot take place once the individual is fully grown. There is usually a magic time window of when the acclimatization can occur. This adaptation can take months to years to acquire. A famous example of this is those who have grown up at high altitude versus those who have moved to high altitude as adults. Those who were born at high altitude tend to develop larger lung capacities than do those who were not born at high altitude, but moved there later in life. However, developmental adjustment occurs in response to cultural stressors as well. Intentional body deformation has been documented throughout human history. The last types of biological adaptation is the genetics. Genetic adaptations can occur when a stressor is constant and lasts for many generations. O'Neill 1998 to 2013. The presence of the sickle cell allele in some human populations is one example. Keep in mind that genetic adaptations are environmentally specific. In other words, while a particular gene may be advantageous to have in one environment, it may be detrimental to have in another environment. What about the meaning of cultural change? Cultural change is a concept that denotes some internal and external factors leading to change in the cultural pattern of societies. In the article of Chan, the main factors and causes of cultural change were discussed. Factors of cultural change. Let us enumerate and discuss it one by one. Contact is one of the factor of cultural change. Contact. The contact between two societies will obviously change the culture of both the societies through the process of cultural diffusion and acculturation. Another one is technology evolution. Any technological evolution is the country will bring a change their culture. For example, changes in production technology, changes in the means of communication, changes in the means of transportation, etc. The last factors of cultural change is the geographical and ecological factor. The geographical and ecological factor is a natural or a physical factor. The climate or rainfall, attitude of the place, closeness to the sea decides the culture lifestyle of the people. Any change in the physical features will automatically lead to a change in their culture, habits and way of living. Moving on is the causes of cultural changes. So here are some causes. Sometimes members of a society are often confronted by customs that differ from those which they have learned to accept. New customs and practices are likely to be more readily adopted under two conditions. One, if they represent what is viewed as socially desirable and useful, and two, if they do not clash with pre-existed and still valued customs and practices. Changes in culture are always superimposed on existing culture, especially during cultural contact. All the cultural changes are not equally important. Some changes are introduced to culture because they are considered necessary for human survival. Some other changes are accepted in order to satisfy socially acquired needs not essential for survival. It is a fact of common observation that crisis tends to produce or accelerate cultural changes. If the changes are accepted once due to the crisis, they tend to persist. Cultural change leads to chain reaction. Whenever a change is incorporated into the culture and becomes defined as a social necessity, new needs emerge, generating the desire for still further changes to complement or supplement the original change. I think you followed and understood our discussion. Take a deep breath so that we will go to the next part of our lesson by doing our activity. The National Capital Region is the epicenter of pandemic COVID-19 spreading in our country. With the advent of living in the new normal, survival is a test that everyone will face. It may not be our ordinary way of life, but it is one of the ways for salvation. List the ordinances of ELGU here in Pasig or the Interagency Task Force EAT implementation based on the Bayan to Heal as One Act during Enhanced Community Quarantine Act. Relate these ordinances to the change on how you live and provide reasons how municipality can take advantage of it in ASNUC as people's welfare as a whole is concerned. Direction: choose three best policies that you want to continue and write your reasons. After doing this activity, you may send a copy of this to Google Classroom, Messenger, module, or worksheet. After completing the table, we'll proceed to answer the process questions. So here are the following questions. 1. Even before COVID-19 spread throughout the world, we are free to do what we want, without fear. How does this pandemic affect your ordinary daily activities? What drastic adjustments did you make? 2. How has your family prepared for such changes caused by new strict law enforcement or intense fear of being infected with the virus? 3. In the adaptation of new normal life, the culture had been changed. To what extent do these changes affect your ordinary activities? 4. Government preventive measures are one of the main causes of the sudden change in our culture to stop the spread of the disease. What are your takeaways in this situation? Reminder, answer these process through module and worksheet. What do you think is the significant role of adaptation in the process of evolution? You may answer this to your worksheet or module. And at the end of our lesson, let us recall the important things we have learned so far. I will read what Laureen Saville said. We are not protected from the forces of changes that can cause extinction. We can see now how vulnerable we are to disease epidemics like COVID-19, Ebola, HIV, and even the common flu. Natural disasters on the rise due to climate change can render us defenseless and vulnerable. Technology can help us, but we can't assume it will save us. In this way, we can mitigate the number of victims in times of disaster. Using the template t-shirt, draw or write simple things you can do to help protect the Earth. 20 minutes of our discussion was over. I hope you learned a lot today. Thank you and God bless us all.